Welcome to Paperweights, the podcast where two self-proclaimed gym rats and shooting enthusiasts delve into the world of literature with a sprinkle of humor. Although their biceps could crush a walnut, don't let that intimidate you. They also have a nerdy side. Mike and Brandon have a voracious appetite for reading, particularly in the fantasy genre, and they want to share their passion with you. So grab your protein shake and your favorite novel and join us for a humorous and insightful journey into the world of books with Paperweights.
Welcome back to another episode of the Paperweights. I'm your host, Brandon.
And Justin.
Welcome back this week. Exciting end of a book here, right?
Yeah, we finished another one.
Yeah, I think this is a top 2 book for me. I can't decide if I like this one or Wizard's First Rule more.
Oh, like all time?
Yeah.
Oh.
Like fantasy book. It's really freaking
It's good. It's good.
So
I'd probably still put Shadow Rising over it.
that one is good too. But yeah, I don't know. Those are definitely 3 of the top books.
Yeah, especially in series.
Yeah. It's one of the better book 2s in series. And I know you like The Great Hunt. I like The Great Hunt too.
Yeah,
I think this is better than The Great Hunt though.
It's more than the Great Hunt, because the Great Hunt, like Wheel of Time, is way more slow. So you still have a lot of crazy stuff happening, but you don't have like this amount of crazy stuff.
Yeah. I think Jordan liked to not expose things, not open the world enough quickly enough.
Yeah, like if you said this was like the third book, it would make more sense, like in how most books are like, because a lot of stuff happens and the changes that I'm assuming are going to go forward because of it are going to be massive.
Yeah,
because all of humanity's dead.
Yep. All right, so before we get started, we are sponsored by Mudcat Whiskers. You can go visit them at their website, www.mudcatwhiskers.com. You place an order for beard care products and use code Paperweights at checkout to save yourself 15%. I did see that they currently have a seasonal blend right now called Swamp of Sorrows. And it's got like this little like illithid type Cthulhu monster on the label. So kind of excited there. I did order some of that, waiting for it to come in. I think it's got like a bourbon profile to it. So if you like bourbon scents, check it out. So
Yeah, seasonal stuff's always fun.
yeah, I like seasonal stuff. It kind of breaks up the monotony of the normals, things you're used to. So all right, you want to jump in? I don't think I have anything else.
No, we can jump in. A lot of stuff happens in the final pages. We get another Sanderlance.
So much on this Sanderlanche. Like I wanted to sit there and like read it all, and I think I had one chapter and then the epilogue left, and it was like late at night, and I was so damn tired that like I'm reading and I'm like, I really want to read it. I really want to find out, but I'm like, my eyes keep like my head keeps falling, and I'm like, I gotta set this down and pick it back up tomorrow. But
Yeah. Like after we recorded last week, I like basically finished the thing. I sat down and like finished the entire thing. Because it just, as we'll get into the chapter summaries, like they all just kind of flow into each other. It's basically one big chapter.
yeah,
For most of it. So
yeah, and like if you're new to Sanderson books, for anybody listening, like book 1 it had a little bit of a Sanderlanche, but like this is a Sanderlanche. Like so many pieces fall into place. You get a whole lot of answers, but the answers are actually um, in the form of questions and bringing up new questions like, oh my God, okay, well, if that's that, then what's this? And oh man, so much stuff. I enjoy it. So we'll dive into chapter 76, Hidden Blade.
Yes, and like most of these chapters going forward, it has a bunch of different POVs. We get three in this chapter. We get Dalinar, Kaladin, and Sadeas. Let me start off with Kaladin though. He's kind of still sad that he might have killed Syl, as he should be. But he decides to basically go see the army depart. His leg is still messed up. Lopin finds out that he doesn't have his powers anymore, and it's bad news. But he like goes and he sees the army, and like it looks all like the professional army he thought he was gonna join in book one. So he kind of it's a bittersweet moment. He sees it. He's like, I know the horrors of war now, but stuff like this is still all inspiring and cool, which is fun. And that's kind of his like little first part. Then we switch to Dalinar, and basically they're all fixing to go on the like big Parshendi invasion, but he only has him and his other guy Oroyan, are the two high princes, and their armies are like that's the only ones that showed up because previously, everybody thought he was crazy and like going out into the high storms and stuff and fight the Parshendi, you could get surrounded and just get killed. So people were like, nope, we're not doing that. But we get Sabariel, and then we get a big surprise, which is Aladar, one of Sadeas's chief supporters, and it has a big army, one of the biggest in the war camps. So that's really cool. He basically, I like how he's like, Sadeas doesn't own me, but he wants to. So like they're starting to see that Sadeas is his tyrannical machinations are starting to show through. So he's like, let's do Dalinar. At least he's trying to be honorable, which is cool.
Yeah, the thing I like about Eladar here and what he reveals and Dalinar notices is that Aladar was trying to convince himself of a reason to follow Dalinar. Like he didn't necessarily want to be so aligned with Sadeas, but he needed more from Dalinar to swap over and kind of follow Dalinar's lead.
Yeah, it's basically like he wasn't powerful enough, so he had to pick a side to back, and he picked Sadeas. But now he's kind of seeing all the how honorable and how dishonorable Sadeas is, and how it could be bad news if he gets sticks around with Sadeas and get betrayed and all that. So that's cool. We get a little bit of High Prince politics.
Another thing here, do you think so? It didn't come up later on when they're sitting in Uruthuro, but do you think Shallan had anything to do with convincing Sabariel to go?
It would be. I don't think so because it would be off screen, and I don't think she had enough time. I just see him as like an opportunist. So he was like, ooh, like, you know, one I could get. I don't think he cares too much about prestige, but like if we defeat the Parshendi, we could have all their like we could loot them and or get this. I think Shallan was saying stuff about Uruthuru, doing some rumors, so maybe he heard those and like I don't think it was overt though.
I feel like her and Polona were looking over the maps like that she had gotten. So I think he was aware of it, and so maybe she didn't like talk to him, but her studies, um, I think might have influenced him to go, oh, okay, this sounds cool. If Dalinar is going there and Uruthuru is actually a place, then I want to be there. I want to set up the economy, and
Yeah.
it really, I don't know if you played World of Warcraft at all, but there's like every expansion, there was always a new city or whatever that became like the trade city where everybody would go and trade with each other and would be like the hub. And I always remember on the expansion that I can't remember the name of uh the race, but it was like the dragon type that had the tail. Um but anyway, in that expansion, Uruthuru kind of reminds me, not necessarily so much of the inside levels, but it just kind of reminds me of a hub, like an economic hub, and what it can become in the future. And I think that's kind of what Sabario was attracted to.
Yeah, and I think there's probably more to meets the eye to Sapario because his war camp was where Ghostbloods were located at. I don't know if he is a Ghostblood or has any affiliation with them, but it's something to look out for. Because if he's part of the Ghostbloods and they wanted to find Uruthuru, it makes sense for to use his forces there too. Um, so I don't think he is, but it would be kind of interesting.
Yeah, I never gave any thought to him being a Ghost Blood member, so
Yeah, I don't think he is,
I
but
think it would be a surprise if he is. It'd be a huge surprise.
I guess seem unassuming. So there's probably and like he's a cool character, so I'm betting he's gonna get more in the upcoming books,
Yeah.
especially like being Shallan's like benefactor. We get a little bit of like Sadius. Like we always get tiny snippets of Sadius. Basically, he's like, oh, he's angry that his guy like betrayed him basically, and he's like, we're gonna have more high princes because they're all gonna be dead, and like basically, he decides not to do a coup because he can just once Dalinor's dead, just be a puppet master basically. Um, and after that we get the big Adolin. Uh, Amram confrontation, which is cool. So basically, Adolin, I'm not Adolin. Kaladin is watching all the troops leave, and he's getting a little bit of shit for like walking around with his wounded leg. And you briefly see we get a brief like little jealous thing with Adolin and Shallan, but it's thankfully not that much, and I think it's kind of done. I don't think it's gonna be a love triangle, which is nice. Um, but Amram comes and talks with Dalinar, and then they're like gonna he wants an apology, but it's like so Kaladin's like starting to speak, and it's like not you for Amram. He basically plays him, and it's really cool. He basically bonded the shard blade that he got from the Herald, but I don't think that's an honor blade, but we'll get to that later. Bought that and then left it out in like a cave or something to get, and then like basically as bait for it to get stolen by Amaram. So kind of just plays Amaram as a fool, shows that he's dishonorable. It's very cool. Um, Amaram runs away in disgrace. And last thing is that Moash stayed behind to guard the king, so it's gonna be bad news. I don't know
Yep.
if you got any, but the Amaranth stuff is really cool. Finally done.
Yeah, I noted here it seemed like Amaram genuinely believed that he was acting for the greater good. Like, um, but obviously, he's dishonorable, but he's like, no, this needs to happen for the Radiance to come back and um that kind of stuff.
Yeah, because we find out later he's basically a religious zealot almost.
Yeah, almost like he's an invisager, right?
Yeah, or
Uh,
like wants the hierarchy to come back.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, so I made a note about Aladar as well. That's Aladar is the type of person that would be a Christian, not because they do believe, but because they fear the price threatened to them by God if they don't believe. Um, he's like, well, I don't necessarily, like he tells Dalinar, he's like, I don't necessarily believe everything that you're saying, but um, if it's true, then I could help. I could help in the situation, so I'm gonna choose on your side here. And then Sadius is being dumb. Let's see. Yeah, Dalinar confronting Amaram was just pretty badass and out of like Amaram's just. I mean, both Amaram and Kaladin were both like, "What? When did you do this?" Because the whole time, the reader and Kaladin are both like, Dalinar doesn't believe. He's here trusting Amaram. Amaram's just uh, a silver tongue, just kind of making everybody believe what he is and using his power and pushing around. And so for Dalinar to actually have that plan come to fruition, Kaladin believes in him now. So hopefully he doesn't go back at some point and go, I'll never trust another light eye again, and blah 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 blah. Like Kaladin, I
Yeah,
thought we were over this.
we should be after this book because um I do think it's cool that the very slight mentions early in the book of like Dalinar was sick for a little bit was him like bonding the shard blade. The only thing
Yeah.
I'm weird about is that's an honor blade, right? Because it's Talonel's shard
Yeah,
blade.
so it was his, yeah.
But it doesn't seem like Dalinar has any powers unless he just doesn't know how to second Stormlight or anything, which is weird.
I don't think he used it enough. I don't think he was thinking of that.
Yeah, but it seems like he kind of like involuntarily second Stormlight sometimes. Um,
You can. I mean, we did see that with Dalinar during his fight, or when he was in the sky, got thrusted into the sky by Seth later on. Um,
well, no, that was Kaladin, but yeah, I mean, he does.
no, when Dalinar was falling to the ground, right?
Yeah,
Dalinar sucked in Stormlight and healed himself a little bit, prevented himself from dying.
yeah, maybe.
Yeah, it's there when we get to that chapter.
Anyway,
Pointed
I
out
just know that
because Dalinar pointed out.
Kaladin catches him, but yeah, he does do it a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think it's an honor. I think it's an honor blade. Don't know enough about it. I don't know if they described it enough. I don't think they described it at all.
No, not really.
But it was the one that came with Talonat. So I don't know why Talonat would be having a non-honor blade
And
and just regular shard blade.
his would be the one that was missing, so it would come back with them. But I don't know why it's not bound to it, which is weird. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe he's too insane to bond it or something.
Yeah. The only other question I had here is, if so, Amarim is Sadius's liege lord, right? Or Sadius is
Yeah.
Amarim's liege lord. So I just question how like Amarim is able to be with Dalinar when they're leaving for war, while Sadius is not. Like,
I think it's because he was made a Knight's Radiant. It like supersedes bonds.
okay, that I'll take that.
Yeah, that's the only one thing that makes sense to me.
Yeah, I'll take that. Yeah, that's all I have for that chapter. It's fun. We do find out that they have narcotics and over-the-counter meds. So we got Fire Moss as the narcotic painkiller, and Fathom Bark as the over-the-counter pain meds. So
Some world building going on.
yeah.
Just the last thing on that, like Amram's talking about basically how the means justify the ends, and it sticks with Calvin a little bit. We'll see what happens in the coming chapters. We can move on to chapter 77, Trust. It's another dual POV. It's Kaladin and Shallan. We start with Shallan. She's in the army. They're moving. It's going to take a while to cross all the plateaus and get to it. She's still trying to map them out and stuff. She's shows her inexperience with a horse, which was really funny. She's like, "You're gonna get sore," and Adon's like, "Yeah," and she's like, "Oh no." But it's kind of funny. She does get a copy of Winds of Radiance or Words of Radiance. She gets a copy of the book. She should have known where the Oathgate was really earlier. She just didn't read, I guess. Gotta do your reading, Shallan. Then she follows the advice, gets a coach where she's able to do more work, and we get a really cool scene with her and Navani. That's basically talking about Yasna and talking about like the work that they're gonna do. Navani basically offers up all of her resources to Shallan, which is really cool. So and I like how Shallan just immediately has like 15 different ideas and just tells them all. He uses her newfound power, and then she also says that Yasna was a nice Radiant. She kind of reveals some more stuff about Yasna, um, which is good that people are finally talking to each other.
Right.
Only took a book and 3/4 of another one. That's kind of Shallan's part. And then yeah, it's we get through all this the atmosphere of it raining all the time, which is fun. Because it's the weeping.
Sounds
And then,
miserable.
yes, it does sound terrible. I mean, we get some days or weeks in Louisiana where it rains like 4 days or 5 days. So, but
Yeah, I hate
it's
it.
not like weeks and weeks of it. So,
Yeah.
yeah, the humidity it must suck. Then we go over to Kaladin. He's all sad boy and up in his room because he can't really move too much because he got messed up on his leg.
This chapter
Milash,
reminds me, did you watch the second season of House of the Dragon?
yeah,
Where the king's walking around the room? Not giving any spoilers, is the king walking around the room healing.
yeah,
This is what I thought.
that makes sense. That's funny. Um, Milash visits basically says like the assassination's on. They're gonna wait until basically Dalinar couldn't turn around to return, so the expedition will still go good, and then he'll. The plan is basically he's gonna, uh, you know, be victorious, come back, and become king. Even though the diagram people just don't talk to each other, which is funny, but we can get at it later because their plan is really dumb, or maybe just misinformed. Oh yeah, and the king wants to kind of see Kaladin, but we don't get to see that conversation quite yet. And Kaladin is kind of wondering if he should stop assassination plot, but he hasn't made a decision quite yet. That's kind of that chapter.
Yeah, so like two things that I didn't hear mentioned was Moash does know that Syl left Kaladin. And then Moash tells Kaladin that he actually isn't needed for the plot anymore. He just has to not be in the way. And of course that's when Kaladin is like, he's like, "Oh, thank God I don't have to do anything, but it doesn't look like I can do anything to stop it."
Mm.
So he kind of has a relief of duty, and almost like a, okay, now that oath, that promise, I don't have to fulfill that promise anymore because they're not expecting me to do anything to help now. Um, so we do find out some other things. Like each order had different ideals or standards to determine advancement. Some were specific, others were left to interpretation of the spread. Some orders were individualistic, while others, like the Windrunners, functioned in teams with a specific hierarchy. So um, we get a little taste of that at the end here with Lopin.
Yeah.
Regrowing his arm. He sucked in the Stormlight and he regrew his arm in the later chapter before the end of the book. So it looks like Kaladin's going to have a team of Windrunners.
I mean, it makes sense because now you have Parshendi that can shoot lightning bolts, and there's probably gonna be, we've seen the Thunder class and all that other craziness, so you kind of feels like 4 people, you couldn't really do much about it.
Right.
Which is cool.
And then whenever Shallan and Nirvani were talking about the Knights Radiance, all I could think of was the I forget the name of the order, but in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, the secret society that's sworn to protect the Holy Grail. Just all this information that they give to Indiana Jones. That scene reminded me of the Last Crusade.
Yeah, hopefully their faiths are better than the ones in Indiana Jones, where they just kind of kill like 2 Nazis and all die.
Yeah, but yeah, it's building up. You could feel the tension starting to build up in these chapters, getting on the edge of finding out more information. So it's moving at a good pace. But ironically, whenever I get to the ends of books like this, it's moving fast. But for some reason, it feels like my reading is so slow. Because I'm like, come on, there's 40 pages left. Like it's almost done. It's almost done, but it feels like it takes 5 hours for me to finish 40 pages. I know it doesn't take me 5 hours, but it's just like, oh my God, it's so exciting. But less words, more action.
Yeah, and basically every chapter flows into each other. So like he likes to do, especially at the end of the books when the Sander launch is happening, like each chapter ends with like a kind of a cliffhanger or like oh wait, I need to know about that. So like you basically you just read it all. At least that's what happens to me.
Yeah. It does give you the opportunity though, like if you needed to stop, you could, because it gives you a reveal, but it gives it to you in a way that you want more. So it would be a good like weekly episode as well. It would drive that desire. Like if the showrunners would love that because they're like, oh, they're gonna come back next week. I know it. I know they're gonna come back next week.
Yeah, this we'll get to it when we get to the sky battle, but this would be an incredible animated show.
Yeah, I kept thinking that too.
Because I don't know if you've, well, we can do a little bit now. I don't know if you've seen Legend of Korra.
No, is that this like a
It's
later of
the sequel to
Avatar?
Avatar, yeah. It's basically the next generation. It's about Korra. She's but anyway, in like season 3, they have this like really cool like sky fight, or like 2 people are flying around just like messing each other up. And it really reminded me of the sky fight at this thing.
Yeah, I've tried to get into Avatar: The Last Airbender, and I haven't gotten far. And so then I know Legend of Korra is a sequel to it, so I haven't gotten to that obviously.
Yeah, I'll say Korra's a little bit more mature. So if like the kitty weirdness of Avatar is kind of grabbing you away from it, you can maybe start on that one. I really like it. It's a little controversial in the fandom.
I've been watching Dragon Ball, the original series. And God, that show is
Weird.
it's weird, it's horny. Um,
Have you gotten to the bunny rabbit that can turn people into carrots?
yes.
Yeah.
I just got to I'm on chapter, not chapter, episode 13. So like Goku turned into the giant gorilla for the first time. But
Nice. Yeah, I
yeah,
need to, I like Dragon Ball's good.
it's
Pretty
fun
cool.
so far. Jules will come in and watch on certain parts, and she's like she came in and it's like, why does the pig have a pair of panties on his head? It's like, because that's what he wished the dragon for.
Yeah. It's a strange show, but it's good.
Yeah. All right, chapter 78,
Chapter-
contradictions.
All right, you can move on. This is a rarity. It's only Shallan's point of view. Um, Shallan is still kind of in her like carriage, and she's draws a picture of Yasna. She's trying to figure out more about Yasna. I like how Pattern doesn't like creation spread. It's pretty funny. Um, then we have the beat of this chapter is Dalinar and Shallan. They're meeting. Basically, Dalinar is like trying to get information about Yasna and like her the Knight's Radiant, all this other stuff, and then like it's kind of funny. He's like, "Oh, so you're taking over the expedition now?" Because she's like sending people out to map the plane so she can really get in there, and then she basically ends up revealing herself finally to somebody, um, which is really nice to have. Um, and then basically Dalinar is like, "We're gonna send you back, and I'm gonna tell Navani," and then Shallan gets to put her foot down and be like, "Nope, I'm staying here, and you're gonna tell nobody until I let you know," which is really fun. Um, and then we get some Parshindi come. We get Relaine coming back, and then they see some dead corpses of the storm form. Um, yeah, he kind of he is still Relaine still kind of uh sees himself as a member of Bridge 4, and funny enough, the Bridge 4 also see him still as a member of Bridge 4. So we get a little Relaine, and that's kind of how it ends. Um, yeah.
Yeah. So Relaine was in war form, right? He was not in
Yeah.
storm form. He's
Yeah,
in war form.
but they find dead, or they fought a little skirmish with them.
Right,
Yeah,
right. The
yeah, no,
Alethi fought some storm form. The Alethi have some scorch marks from lightning attacks, and then there's also dead storm form Parshendi.
yeah, it's weird that like, I mean, yeah, he's not in storm form because he's doesn't have the red eyes, all that stuff. It is weird that like the Odium Prashindi were right there, they fight, and he just like shows up over here or something like the same time, which was kind of a little confusing. But no, he was I guess waiting for them to make contact or something. Uh, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So one thing I noted is this book only takes place like over the timeline of the book in world is just a little over a month. Just absolutely insane.
yeah, because we have a countdown, so yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Um, and you mentioned Pattern doesn't like creation sprint. That is hilarious too. And his reasoning for it is even funnier because it's like they don't create anything. They just like they're attracted to what others create. And I was going to make a note here that it kind of reminds me of people that just do reaction videos. Um, but there was like, but that also kind of could lead into like the essence of this podcast. We're we're reading a book, we're discussing it, and we're creating something based off of something that somebody else created as well.
We're creation sprint.
Yes, we are creation sprint.
Spoiler alert. We are creation sprint.
um, and so I also we don't. Okay, so this chapter being Shallan's point of view, I figure we don't know immediately if Dalinar thought like that Kaladin was a Knights Radiant upon seeing Shallan. So we don't get whenever Dalinar starts to connect those pieces. It would be interesting to see this chapter from Dalinar's point of view.
Mm.
Like when did Dalinar really pick up here? If it was in this one. Uh,
For Calvin or for Shalon?
what do you mean?
When he picked up,
So
like
Shallan reveals that she's a Knights Radiant.
yeah.
Dalinar had no idea that she was.
Hmm.
But Shallan revealing it, we know Dalinar saw weirdness and thought weird things about Kaladin. So I wonder if at immediately finding out that Shallan was a Knights Radiant or had surge bindings goes, I wonder if that's what's up with Kaladin. Like if he had that thought. And
Yeah,
it doesn't even have to be a long POV. It
because
could just be a section where he's talking with her.
don't we really know after he came out of the chasms? Because he's like, "You're the one I'm looking for." He's like, "Not anymore."
Maybe.
I kind of figured Dalinar kind of knew after he walked out of the chasms, but then
Yeah, but also, I can't remember. I remember that conversation, but I don't remember if he yeah, because there wasn't anything spectacular. He just kind of walked out. They're like, oh, okay.
well, I mean, he survived a certain death.
Yeah,
Um,
maybe
and
so.
that's kind of when I got like, because I mean, he's been pretty terrible at being mundane, like surviving the assassin in white, all this other stuff, fighting four shard bearers. Like, yeah, I mean, you should have put it together earlier than coming out of the chasms when you should be dead. But
Yeah. Um, but yeah, I got super excited with this chapter. With Shallan revealing herself and then Relaine surrendering in the rain. So
yeah, I'm glad. I mean, we can't really have it anymore because what happened at the end of the book. But like, people aren't. There's not gonna be another book of like who's a radiant and like all this other stuff. Like, I I don't remember book three that well, but there should be like a paradigm shift in like the plot and stuff,
yeah.
which is gonna be fun. You want to move on?
Yep.
All right,
Chapter 79.
toward the center. This is a Dalinar POV. Um, we get Dalinar, Navani, and all them. This is the interrogation of Relaine. Um, he considers Dalinar his commanding officer, which is fun because he's still a member of Bridge 4. Um, we figure out that he was a spy for about 3 years. And they now know the name of Eshonai. I don't know if I'm pretty sure they didn't know that name before. But basically all of his people are now void bringers and it's all bad. Um um like that basically he's like, yeah, like it's very our dual form is very similar to the slave form, so it was super easy. Like y'all just like, oh, another parchment, cool.
It's like they keep tabs on all their parchment, but if an extra one shows up, they're like, oh, okay, cool. But if they lose one, then they have a problem.
Yeah. Uh, basically, he's like the evil gods have returned. It's all bad. then Dalinar basically sends Relaine to talk with Shallan to basically get the map better, and he promises not to kill the women and children. Just good on Dalinar, and
Yeah.
that's kind of it.
Yeah, not too much, and releases Relaine to the custody of Bridge 4.
He's Bridge 4.
Bridge 4. Yeah, I liked how he always was rubbing, like he was just rubbing the tattoo on his forehead the entire time. Which is interesting that it didn't disappear when he changed forms. Um, kind of like, Kaladin's disappears whenever he just sucks in Stormlight.
Yeah, it's gonna be real sad when like the Everstorm comes and he just is transformed. There's nothing he can do.
Yeah, that's gonna be sad.
Maybe he can, maybe an era through, he can just stay there and like it'll be above the high storm. So maybe he won't get it.
Yeah, because the upper tiers above the clouds, right?
Yeah,
Thought we found that out, right? Dalinar
yeah.
was up there. Yeah. I mean, that's that chapter.
Yep. And we can go on to chapter 80 to fight the rain. We get some Kaladin and Shallan POVs. Um, let's see, we get Shallan. She's kind of observing like ruins of old cities. I think this is a chapter where like we find out that a lot of the shattered plains are just like in plateaus or buildings and stuff that are covered in crim and like hardened over like 1,000 years or whatever. Which is fun. So yeah, this was a giant city with suburbs and stuff. Um, they are nearing the center, towards the center. Ha ha ha. But that was last chapter. They've gotten towards the center. Basically, there's like 10,000 of the storm Parshendi lined up. So we're gonna have a battle. And basically, Shallan is tasked with finding the Oath Gate because if things go badly, there's like no line of retreat. They're like weeks away from the Alethi lines. So we need this gate in case things go bad. But the battle is almost upon us, which is cool. And then Kaladin, we get a basically this is the king comes to talk with Kaladin, and King is drunk because I like it because Dalinar's not there to like stop him from getting like wasted. And he's basically like, why
What
why
makes a
am
hero?
yeah, like
Am I a
why don't
bad king?
I'm a bad
Can
king.
can you teach me to be a hero and a good king?
Yeah, he's just depressed because what Kaladin ultimately gets from this is Elhokar is trying to be a good king. He just doesn't really have the capacity for it. So it's not really like it's on him because he's not gonna abdicate the throne, but he's trying his best. He just kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Um, and even asked him to abdicate the throne, but he's not gonna do it, obviously. And then we do get some more of like these shadows that haunted him. They vanish whenever Kaladin's around, which I'm pretty sure are cryptics like Shallan, or there's some sort of spread. But it makes sense if they would vanish when Kaladin's around because they don't like honor spread.
Yeah.
So there's something. He's like a surge binder or something weird's going on with him.
Or maybe potentially one, but he's not he hasn't taken any oaths or doesn't believe enough.
Yeah.
But maybe the cryptic sprint are attracted to him because of his position of power and the potential of it. The potential for him to do good.
Yeah. And like the lie of him being this like powerful guy that's actually weak, I could see that being like a good like thing for them.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's good.
Yeah. Oh, we do get the reveal that like when he challenged Amaram, like the king could have just like not listened to that and like could have like brushed it aside, but he saw Paladin being such a hero and a badass that like he grew jealous and kind of you know threw him in jail because he was like jealous of it, which was sad. Illicor's cool. I actually kind of like him. I hope he grows up and I don't know if he needs to be king, but I don't even know if there's gonna be an Alethkar in the next book. Maybe the storm will just come and blow it up, and all the riots and all the craziness. But I'm interested to see how he grows, especially if he becomes a like a whatever. It'd be interesting because his sister is whatever order Yasna is. But in him, he would be I guess a light weaver or the other one, whatever.
An
Well, it would be
Elf Caller.
yeah,
Yasna is an Elf Caller.
Elves calling.
And Elokar. Wait. Yasna is Elokar's sister, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
old,
So
older sister, I think.
yeah. So she's an Elf Caller. Um
Spoilers.
Inksprin?
How?
Is that, but she's basically a she's in the same order as Doctor Strange, where she makes these little travel circles.
Spoilers.
In this book,
I mean, short, kind. But yeah.
it
So I guess
happened, literally happened in the epilogue.
yeah, but she's not like I'm an Elves calling. Does she? I don't know. Maybe she
Wit
does.
says, "Did you have to else call to this place?"
No, maybe sure. I don't know.
He literally says, "Do you have to else call here?"
But
Not a spoiler.
just give me a hard time.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah. So we'll see what happens with Elgar because he's alive. Yeah, maybe he'll become a Hardazian king.
Maybe so.
Maybe so.
Um, and one of the Herdasians wants to become the king of Elokar. Um, yeah, so Kaladin, hilarious thing. Kaladin doesn't like rain spren. Um, and they're like blue candles sprouting from the ground, each with a single eye in the center of its top. He calls them creepy things.
That's pretty creepy.
Yeah. Um, and also wrote here that the Parshman spies had to be the ones writing the countdown on the wall, right? Or is it still Dalinar?
I don't know. It makes not a lot of sense.
It because nobody, like, they describe the Parshman as being invisible, really.
Yeah,
Nobody pays them any attention.
but they would know it. How would they know the countdown?
I don't know.
I think it's probably like the Stormfather.
Okay.
I don't know.
But how
Because
would
like,
he know? Like,
well, he's the one that's giving Dalinar the visions. So
yes, but the countdown is coming from Odium.
well, maybe it's Odium that's doing it.
And
I don't know that part. I don't know.
so it makes sense. All the Odium Spren that go in and take control, um, they could do like, we've seen the Odium Spren take control of the Chasm Fiends and then leave. We see them do that with the not the Alethi, the Parshindi in their storm form. So they could totally go into
Yeah.
the Parshmen or something. Yeah, and the last thing I wanted to say about this chapter, it was funny having Kaladin realize that he now sees Elokar as being kingly, not because Elokar has changed, but because Kaladin's understanding and views of what kingly behavior is has changed.
That's right.
So But
All right, we can move on to chapter 81, The Last Day.
yeah, after this chapter, the series is over.
Yep. It's the last battle and the last day.
Yeah.
So we get like all the POVs chapter. We get Adolin, Dalinar, Kaladin, and Shallan. It's a busy chapter. We start off with Dalinar. Um, basically, it's right before the battle. He sees all the have glowing red eyes, which is cool. They look like Terminators. Um, but he's like observing the battlefield basically. Um, their plan right now is to kind of like wait a little bit and kind of feel them out. Um, we hear that Navani has some fabrials. We don't get details of them quite yet. Um, Dalinar then gives a pretty good speech about like, we're here to beat the Voidbringers. We're not here to like line like purses or anything. Today is a day for glory and for the humanity, and we're gonna kick ass, and it's pretty cool.
I like that Sanderson points out that Dalinar delivers a speech, then there's scribes writing it down and going and passing it down the line, and like verbally, and I had the hilarious thought of somebody that was not there's somebody who's like very timid, or squeaky voice, and not very commanding nature, delivering Dalinar's speech. It's like, it not landing with that set of troops. It's like, what?
Yeah, he's
I
basically like
guess.
he's basically like, this is our Independence Day, and it's rah rah. The music swells. It's really cool. Um, then basically, the Parshendi start to sing. Uh, it's Verlaine's like, it's bad. You need to stop the singing. So basically, he's like, we were gonna wait and be all methodical and stuff, but now it's time to we have to kill all these guys. We have to attack. Where's the attack? Cool stuff. Now we get some Kaladin.
It was
Uh,
worth noting before we move to Kaladin's POV.
mhm.
So Aladar started freaking out, and Dalinar gives him a little motivating speech and sends him off to lead his army. And he does the same thing for Royan. And then Sabario's like, you're not going to do the same for me. He's like, oh no, I know you're not going to lead your army. Here's 3 shard bearers. They're going to lead your army. He's like, okay, cool.
Yeah, I do like that Sabario has like some of the best troops, even though because like he hires the best people. Um, so he's like, master of commerce. So he has all the right people. He delegates real well. Um, yeah. So the battle is on. We need to attack. We need to stop this crazy singing. Uh, they're summoning Everstorm, but we don't know that quite yet. So Kaladin is kind of trying to figure out what to do. He ends up going to like the training grounds where they're washing the sand from all the blood and stuff. Really fun. Talks with Zaya a little bit. Still curious to see what Zaya is gonna do. He was looking for Wit, but Wit has gone to go find Yasna, so he's gone. Um, and then he gets a little piece of advice from Zyle that if there's 2 bad options, you pick the one that will let you sleep at night. Um, so he realizes kind of that Elokar is Dalinar's Tien, and if he does that to Dalinar, he's probably not gonna be able to sleep. So he kind of makes up his mind there to save the king. Um,
It's interesting that Kaladin realized and didn't not disagree with the thinking of turning a liability into an advantage. Like, he literally understood what his squad leader was doing with Tien in this moment and said, okay, that makes sense. But then looked at Elokar and then saw that, okay, I can't do this, even if it makes sense. It's not the honorable thing to do.
Yeah, it has a dark kind of practical way of thinking, but maybe not the
It's
most
like
moral thing to do.
it's utilitarian instead
Yeah,
of like just personable.
yeah, which happens in war a lot because war is brutal in the real world, and
That's why war sucks.
yep, uh, how you get lots of atrocities in war. Uh, so now we kind of switched to Adolin. We're hitting all the hits. He's basically given the attack order, so he's on I think the right flank, and they're like attacking here. I think they're like he's over here. The other people are there. They're all fighting. He's in charge of one flank, which is
I'm
cool.
glad you cleared it up for the listeners.
You're welcome.
Yes. There is literally a map of the battle.
Is there? I don't know
Yeah.
who looks at that. Um,
I did briefly and go, oh, okay.
yeah, it's pretty simple. There's like a couple of there's a flank, there's a center. They're all attacking. Um, but the sad thing is his Rashadium horse Sureblood gets killed, gets murked with some lightning because the Pershini are able to shoot lightning, but they're not able to control it really well. But they get a good hit on Sureblood, and it is dead.
Is it almost like the chain lightning spell in D&D?
It's more like the call lightning because it goes from above to the ground, and it can like rip. I like how it ripples out through the water, so like they're all being careful not to go in the pools and stuff. Um, so they're all fighting, and he like kind of grieves for a bit. It's really sad, and then but the lightning does not work on the shark plate, which is cool because it was designed to fight against these demons. Um, and basically he starts murking some Parshendi. Um, and then he does see more of those red spren that evaporate or leave when people die. So he gets to see the more odium spren. Then we get some Shallan.
When he kills the first one, though, it really inspires the morale of the troops because they understand, oh, these things can die. Like prior to seeing one die, they're like, how do we fight these guys? They're literally throwing lightning at us.
Yeah, it's a pretty brutal fighting because like they're getting fried in their armor because they're wearing like plate mail and stuff, so not good. Um, so Shallan's basically sketching. She's getting all the information from the scouts and stuff, and like doing her thing. She knows as symmetrical, so she can basically, you know, theorize how it looks. Even though some erosion will hit some of the plateaus, so it might not be super accurate. Um, she's just doing it. Big thing here is that a scout comes in and is like, no, that plateau is wrong. Uh, it's actually like a perfect circle. And it's
Oh,
not the
Maynard.
yeah, Maynard's there. Um, and she's like that can't be right. Because that would break the pattern. And if that's where the oath gate is, so she is cool. She's like, hell yeah.
Pattern starts talking to her too, and like her scholar friend in Adara and Renarin, they're both like, wait, what's that? That's a void bringer. Like Inadara is like, that's a void bringer. You shouldn't have one of those. And Shalon's like, no, it's okay, it's cool. She says, we should study it. It's like, no, it's cool. Don't worry about this right now.
Yeah, because she couldn't keep pattern hidden because it started like vibrating and all that stuff. So yeah.
And he's freaking out because of the singing and everything, huh?
Yep. Because he knows stuff's getting bad. Shit is getting real. And then basically we get last little thing, we get Dalinar. He's surveying the battlefield. He like basically is like, Renarin, you and take some soldiers, go with Shallan, find the Oath Gate. Things are gonna get bad. Um, they're kind of evenish right now. That kind of is gonna change in a little bit. Uh, he orders Navani to use her fabrials. Um, and then he gets a voice from God, basically. And he's like, oh shit.
Yeah, and it says, "I am sorry that you have to die this way." So we kind of
Very
have the Stormfather having a identity crisis too, and freaking out and like, "Oh no, we're all gonna die." He's basically pulling a oh my god, the Steward of Gondor.
so um yeah, that guy.
Yes.
Denethor?
Flee, run for your lives. Yeah,
Denethor?
Denethor. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Boromir and Boromir's father. It's basically
Yeah.
what's happening with the Stormfather right now.
Basically. But he's also kind of just like, we're all gonna die, so how about if I just nuke everybody? That's kind of what he does.
Yeah, he's like, "Here, have this." Wait, no, don't do that.
He's like, what's the point? We don't need 10 books in this series. What if we just ended book 2? Here we
Yeah.
go.
It's like, we're still alive. You're why are you doing this? Uh, yeah, do. It's very interesting. Zyle, he tells so after he tells Kaladin to pick the choice that makes it easier for you to sleep at night, Zyle says kind of mumbles to himself. He says, "That's what I wish I'd done." So
I still think he's a herald. We don't get confirmation or disconfirmation except for this book, so
not in this book.
we'll get it maybe next book. We'll see.
Maybe another book. I
Brandon,
can't tell you.
you look constipated. I'll get away from spoilers. Maybe.
Oh god. No, I'm holding. I mean, I'm not holding shit in. I'm holding other stuff in, but because you keep refusing to do something I tell you to do, Justin.
So is he from Mistborn? Because I'm not going to read the secret history of Mistborn.
No,
Okay. What
but I
else
mean,
am
you
I?
should read that too. But
What's the other thing I'm not doing?
oh my god, really?
I don't know.
Anyway, I'm not gonna say it here because I don't want to influence anybody else.
Okay. All right, we can move on to
Because
chapter
yeah,
82. For glory lit.
for glory lit.
Huzzah! We get 3 POVs again. Adolin, Dalinar, Kaladin. Um, we start off with Kaladin. He's waddling up as best he could, limping because his leg's still messed up. To go say Elokar. He kind of sees the playbook is playing out. There's like no guards, there's no servants, everything. So he's like, the assassination is imminent. He reaches Elokar's room. He sees 2 Bridge 4 members, but they are not Bridge 4. They are like Graves' men. Kaladin still just kind of murks them, even though he's like can hardly stand, which is it's a really cool little fight scene. And then there's a little tease as he enters the room and Alucard is not moving. Oh no.
Ah.
Ah. Uh then we get some Adolin on the battlefield. He's killing Pershindi. They're doing like these ropes that kind of like they're basically trying to be Ewoks and he's an AT-AT or ATST. So it's
Or Gulliver's Travels.
for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they're doing ropes to kind of constrict his movements so they could like I guess stab him in the face and kill him. Uh um Yeah, they note that the Parshendi that are singing, because like it's probably like a third of their force is singing, while the rest of them are escort mission guarding them. So they're a little worried that what will happen if those reserves join the battle, because these lightning Parshendi are pretty strong and they're formidable. But they're not fighting. They're just kind of singing alone, like singing the storm of destruction. So he basically Adwin is like there's like a giant rock behind them, and he has an idea because of Shallan to basically go behind it and see if it's a building so he can get behind it. Really cool. We'll see that next chapter probably. But he's like, all right, you keep fighting. We're gonna go. Me and 1,000 dudes are gonna split off and try to like pincer attack. Then Dalinar,
He
he
also realizes that he can't find the thrill.
yeah,
So
that's true. And it seems like the Parshendi have. Oh, we get that later. Um, but it seems like the Parshendi have the thrill. Um, when he fights Eshonai. Then we get some Dalinar. He's talking to God or the Stormfather, who is basically the Stormfather's Spren, or the Spren of the Stormfather, which really reminds me of the Coldfire trilogy.
which part?
The reason that the religion existed was for enough people to think about God to make a god.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So the
This
the
world
hunter.
this world is a little bit like Coldfire. Not quite, but because it's way less determinist. It doesn't really matter. The listeners have probably not read the Coldfire trilogy. It's really good. You should read it. It's another C.S. Friedman trilogy of novels. Very good. Very weird fantasy. Anyway, he's talking to the Stormfather. Find out that he's a sliver of the Stormfather, basically the Stormfather's Spren, after the Stormfather, after God Honor or whatever was killed by Odium. Um, and then we see that like Roion, his forces have been like messed up. They're starting to rout. Um, Taleb has died, which is sad. He basically then goes and sees Navani. She's setting up this really cool archers. So with all the rain, it messes up the arrows and the archers. They can't really
The
fire
bowstrings.
bowstrings and all that stuff with the archers. So they have like basically a contraption that draws moisture out of the air, and also they use the floating platform technology we saw earlier in the book to basically raise the archers, draw out the moisture, so their bowstrings and stuff are good to use, and then they can like fucking pelt arrows in the back of them.
So here I thought she deployed the tents.
Well, yeah, it like raises up with the tents.
Okay.
Yeah,
For some reason, I missed that. I mean, it makes sense that they would use them because they were referred to earlier in the book.
yeah, because I'm pretty
But
sure
yeah,
like they drop off the boulders off the side of the plateau and it raises them up.
yeah. And so I mean, the tents are necessary to keep the rain off of them, and then the
Yeah,
fabrials inside remove the moisture as well. So
yeah.
it almost makes a sauna, or not a sauna. Um, it's the up. Maybe it is a sauna.
That
Yeah,
was
'cause
when
it's
you
not a
like,
steam room. It's a dry heat.
mm,
Yeah. It's not a steam room because it's not moist, but it's like a dry heat,
yeah,
so that the bowstrings can actually fire.
yeah. It's really cool. It's fun seeing Navani, her like, Fabrile genius in action. Um, and getting that Chekhov's gun for the archers early in the book being shot. So basically, they're turning the tide a little bit in Royan's battlefront. It's not complete disaster quite yet. And we switch back to Kaladin. we get the little fake out, but Elhokar is not dead. He's just like super drunk. He's very wasted. And so basically Kaladin's like, all right, we gotta go. We gotta get out of here. So he keeps moving, he grabs the king. They're moving. Oh yeah.
There's only one corpse.
Yeah, only one corpse. Oh no. And then like he goes, blocks him and kills the dude, but he wasn't aiming for Kaladin, he was aiming for the king. So Elhokar got stabbed in the side.
We should have used poison.
Yep, should have used poison. Not fatal, but it's could be dangerous if not treated soon enough. Then they start going. They basically enter the same room where they fought the assassin in white, and that's where they meet Moash and Graves. And Graves has a shard blade, so and a sharp blade, so he's a full shard bearer.
Yeah, so once again, Kaladin has found himself up against multiple shard bearers.
He likes doing that.
Yeah.
I wonder if we probably will get more information about Graves.
Yeah, we should. I mean, he's part of the diagram, so
Yeah. And like he is a Lethe, so I wonder he probably didn't get the like he probably isn't a known shard bearer, I'm guessing. Maybe.
Yeah. Maybe he was given one that Taravangian picked up after he killed all those like the king and his 3 shard bearers in Yakaved.
I don't think Seth grabbed those though. I think he left them and but maybe. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, it could be like the diagram told him, like, here's a bunch of caches of shard blades. Or,
yeah.
The diagram is weird. We can talk about the diagram later.
Yeah.
But you got anything else on the chapter? Very cool. Like I said, they're all just flowing to each other. So
yeah, they do just flow into each other.
It's a little weird, kind of talking about each one thing, but we get some.
It does give us breaks to discuss certain things if we wanted to. So
true, yeah, it's good, but like nothing is resolved quite yet. We get a setup for a bunch of battles, basically.
Right.
We get set up for Aelin's battle. We get set up for what Dalinar's doing, and we get Kaladin, who can hardly walk and is fighting 2 shard bearers, so he's just dead. Well, Kaladin's dead.
Yeah.
End of the book.
Yeah, we can move on to chapter 83.
83 times illusion. We get a billion POVs again, all the same. Kaladin, Adolin, Dalinar, and Shallan. Start off with Shallan though. They're basically they go to that plateau that they were looking for. They're trying to find the Oath Gate, and they're all trying to look around for it and stuff. We get more hints that Renarin is a truth watcher or whatever. He's basically seeing the future. He's like, oh no, the storm's coming the wrong way, and blah. He's like freaking out. It's really funny. And I love how Shallan's like, this guy, just shut up. let me work. Basically, there's 2 storms coming, and they're gonna collide into each other. That's gonna be bad. They find basically like another like rock outcropping giant thing that she thinks is another building. And she cuts a hole in it, opens it up. It's kind of her stuff, and then we get Adolin. Adolin's funny enough, kind of doing the same thing. He's creeping through a old building, and basically him and his like 1,000 people are going through this like mountain that's been, or this building that's been crimmed over, which sounds weird to say. And they're basically able to get like right behind the Parshendi lines, and he cuts a hole in it, busts out all his troops, and like the Parshmen that are or Parshendi that are just singing, they kind of wake up and then just immediately get killed. So it's a slaughter, and then Eshni appears, and they're gonna duel in a fight. It's gonna be cool.
It's a couple things in this little POV section here. I think this is where Adolin mentioned something. It's like, I got this idea because some girl asked me to cut a hole in a rock. I mean, I assume that Shallan asked him to do that at some point, but I can't remember when.
It was another. It was like last part. They're like it's when they're on the expedition or whatever, and she like gets them to cut a thing, and then that's when you find out that like most of the mounds are like buildings, old buildings and stuff.
Okay. Yeah. I was like, man,
It's
there's so much stuff to I couldn't remember where it was. I was like, I'm not gonna go back and try to find it, but
yeah, I think it's before they fall into the chasms, but it's like around that, like right before that chapter,
okay.
or
And
near
then
enough.
yeah, Adolin gets sick from seeing like all the butchery of battle. Which we saw Dalinar. It happened to Dalinar last book too, which is interesting, right? Because like Dalinar, he usually goes into the thrill, but in last at the end of last book, there was a time where he was having trouble getting the thrill, and was getting sick from seeing the butchery of the battle.
Yeah, I got it more like when you're killing like defenseless people. It's harder to do than like in the heat of a battle where you're saving your own life and skin and your buddy's skin. So like just killing all these people like literally as they wake up is pretty rough work.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, yeah, he doesn't have the thrill, so he he's like, all right, thank you, Eshonai. I can now actually fight and just not butcher all these Parshendi. Um, which is understandable. So now we have Dalinar. Um, he basically took a bunch of soldiers uh and like basically saved Royan's forces along with the archers, but he got wounded in the side with a spear, so he's getting treated. It's funny, the physician's like, you're like almost all scar, like what the hell? And so just goes to show Dalinar has been a badass, as we knew, for many, many years. Um, uh, yeah, Navani
General
should, yeah,
General Call was able to recover the king's blade from Taleb, but they didn't have enough time to recover the shard plate, which makes sense.
yeah, it's heavy. Navani shows up. She doesn't admonish him for going off in the battle, even though he said he wouldn't, because sometimes you need the blackthorn. Um, they're uh they're losing this fight because even though they're just kind of even, even means death, basically. Like they need it to have a decisive victory, while they're just kind of holding them off, and like it's a sloth going. That's bad. Um, Dalinar talks to some more to the Stormfather, uh, and it's like, you know, they're basically the Stormfather then tells them like, I'm sending a high storm to like kill all of y'all. It's very bad, because the Stormfather's all depressed. He's a sad boy.
And then he
Um,
leaves saying, "Oh no, she's disobeying."
yes, so we get a little hint of what's gonna happen, in a little bit. Uh, yes, it's really sad because he's like, you will have no more visions, and Tyler's like, help me, God, and but like it gets abandoned. Um, then we get more Kaladin. Kaladin is, you know, doing his best Gandalf. He should not pass. The Moash and Graves. Moash ends up fighting him and like punches him in the stomach, like breaks a lot of his ribs, like really messes him up. He's being like, all right, Kaladin, like, he doesn't want to kill him, which is nice. So, Moash is totally evil. Um, he like gets punched and he's able to like stand back up and like, do the whole, uh, you know, I'm not gonna die. You shall not pass stuff. And it's kind of what happens. We don't get cool stuff quite yet.
Yeah, Graves Graves kept trying to like jump in too, and like, hey, we need to take care of this, and then Moash is like, no, I'm gonna get it. I'll do it. Um, but yeah, things. This is where it really starts to like tease you of like, there's awesome things coming, but not quite yet. I'm like, this is where I just was like, fucking come on, give it to me. Like I'm ready for this like excitement and in this resolution.
Yep.
So
Gotta set it up before you can knock them all down.
I mean,
Uh,
the payoff is worth it, man. But yeah, we'll move on to chapter 84.
right, the one who saves. Uh, just a quick note on the epigraph in this chapter. I bet it was really annoying reading this as an audiobook because listening to it, I was like, holy hell, it keeps going. Well, why? They should just have the audiobook. Look it up if you want to hear it. Just me say numbers over and over again.
Did you listen to the audiobook?
Yeah.
Okay.
And like he's like 1 1 1 8. It's really funny. It goes on so long. Uh it's like 20,
Eight.
it's like 20 seconds of numbers. It's ridiculous.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Because they read all the epigraphs, obviously.
Yeah.
And even like the illustrations and stuff. And the audiobook is really good. I kind of use both. I go back and forth. A lot of times when like I'm working, I'll re-listen to a chapter since I've already listened to it. But yeah, this one also has multiple POVs. Adolin, Kaladin, and Shallan. We start with Shallan. She enters like the Oath Gates like main chamber. It's majestic, shows a lot of like murals and cool stuff with all the 10 orders, and there's a whole bunch of crazy stuff. Really cool. They're trying to figure out how to work it basically. There's like a slot that looks like you can insert a shard blade into. But Renarin's does not do anything to it. Um, it's made of the same stuff that shard blades are made of, so I don't know if it's a sprint or not. Seems weird if they can like mine it or do something like that. But shard blades does not cut it. And then she basically is like, "Hey, stuff's going down. Uh, we need go tell Dalinar that we need to get everybody onto this plateau, or else they're all gonna die." That's Eshonai. I'm not That's Shallan's stuff. Next, we get Aelin and his duel with Eshonai. They're fighting. Uh, you know, Aelin's getting messed up a little bit. That's when he figures out that Eshonai has Thrill. And then
Uses it against her.
uses it against her. Kind of, since he knows how it works, it kind of blinds her against her like surroundings and stuff like that. So able to basically trick her into like pushing her off the plateau. It's really cool. And he almost tumbles in, but Scar and the other guy, Drehy, like grab him, and they throughout this entire battle scene, these chapters, the Scar, Drehy, and Adolin kind of have bromances with each other. It's really funny. Like he's like y'all are getting raises, like y'all are the best. So I'm interested to see if like Scar and them get a little bit more uh like screen time next book. But yeah, basically, she like this duel was fun, and then he basically retreats from the battlefield and trying to get some information, and it turns out that the messenger is Seth, son Villano, truthless of Shinovar, and it's gonna be bad. Dun dun dun.
Da, da, da.
We switch to Kaladin's POV as just all the fighting is happening. This is when he actually gets punched in the stomach. I jumped the gun, but like they're fighting. He's protecting him. He's hearing Syl like be like, say the words, Kaladin. And Storm here's the Stormfather, and he's like, I will not allow it. Blah blah blah. And so he says this third ideal, right? Yeah, the third
He speaks
ideal.
well. He speaks the first two again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He says the second. Yeah. couldn't remember if he did it. Oh yeah, but I will protect those even I hate. Which is
So long
cool.
as it is
Yeah,
right.
right. Yep. Yep. Which is good. That makes sense. Because I've been trying to think of like what the ideals are, and that one makes sense. You can't just protect people you like, because then you're not really a protector. You're just, in it for yourself. So he basically goes Super Saiyan, like sucks out all the stormlight, starts glowing. His eyes are glowing. He's cool. We get the reveal that I've been saying for a while, and I don't know if I remembered it, because I don't remember anything about these books, or just it just makes the most sense. But still turns into the Shard Blade, so all the Shard Blades are dead Spren, and that's why whenever the Surge Binders pick one up, you hear screaming, because they're picking up a corpse, and we kind of learn that the Spren are not like, they don't die like humans. They kind of like, if you don't believe them anymore, they kind of just like fade away, but are still like there, which is cool. Yep.
Yeah, I don't
Basically,
know if you. Yeah, I can't obviously can't speak whether or not you actually remembered it or not. But there are, I mean, there's lots of hints
yeah,
that throughout the books that they are dead Spren, dead Spren.
it's the only thing that makes sense, like when you think about it. Um, Especially like with them screaming and stuff like that. So either way, I'll take it.
Yeah,
Um, uh, it's cool. You know, this is when we get kind of like knowledge that Graves is part of the diagram, and then which I still, it's weird because Graves was gonna kill Elokar, and then Taravangian was gonna kill Dalinar. So that means that Sadeas would eventually would become, king. So it's weird that they can like unilaterally act on each other's authority, and like Taravangian isn't like sole leader of the diagram. Strange.
yeah. I don't. I thought it was. I thought it was part of it, right?
Yeah, but I think he says like, my interpretation of the diagram was wrong, or something like that. Later, Graves does.
I mean, yeah. I don't know. We don't get too much. I'll have to go back and reread that. We really don't get too much about what Graves knows about the diagram.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, I guess I just assumed that Graves was acting on Taravangian's orders.
Yeah, but his whole thing, unless he was lying to us, is that he wanted Dalinar to take over as king. Unless he was lying to everybody, which he could be.
I mean, he could be.
Just getting Moat. But like, that means if the diagram wanted to kill both Elokar and Dalinar, it means that he wants Sadeas to come in charge. Or I guess he would kill Sadeas next, and then like Taravangian could maybe like take
Well,
over.
Taravangian's goal right now, from the diagram that he did, is to become the king of all.
Yeah, but like, it seems easier to keep a puppet in the kingdom as the king, kill all the other guys. So I don't know why. I don't know.
Yeah,
We'll we'll find out more of the diagram. People, I guess, hopefully next book.
yeah.
Um, but anyway, he also gives Kaladin a hint that the assassin in white is going after Dalinar. Uh, so yep, and that's kind of it. Does he fly? I think he flies away, right?
Yes. He does fly away. It might not be here. Um,
I
but
think he.
oh wait, no. He does not fly away. It cuts. And we next time we see Kaladin is when he shows up to fight Seth, and we're left wondering what happened with the king.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Because I was like, wait, did I miss what happened to the king? Like,
And that's like the epilogue almost. Yeah.
yeah,
Got anything on this? It's really cool.
this is
Sill's
epic. Just him speaking the third ideal was epic, and Syl becoming a shard blade.
good having Sill back.
But has Kaladin? Have we seen Kaladin wield any of the shard blades?
He was. We've heard that he was training with Zyme.
Right,
So he
but
might
did
have been
he
using
hold
like
one?
a he held one before, and oh no, he held one when he did the last clap. That's when he got the voices. But I think he should use in like practice short. That's how he knows how to fight with them.
Okay. Yeah, I was only asking because he would have experienced the screaming, and then now with one in his hand that doesn't scream, I mean he knows it's Syl, so
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the only time that he uses that, and that causes the guy to flee from the Lane Arena, all that fun stuff.
yeah, which is interesting because it would have like I guess it's the screaming is the Sprin feeling that connection to a surge binder and lamenting over being killed by their Knights Radiant. And so the other shard bearer holding it at the time that that happens, they can hear the voice at that moment.
Yeah, yeah, say so.
Yeah.
It's cool.
We can move on to chapter 85, Swallowed by the Sky.
Yep. Another 3 POV. Got Adolin, Dalinar, and Shallan. Basically we start off with Dalinar. He's getting reports about the two storms, and he's like telling everybody to move to the plateau where Shallan is. That we hear that Aladar won his plateau. So they've won basically 2 out of the 3 fronts we're fighting. But even though they won, they've lost because the Everstorm is here. Then basically as they're talking, Adolin kind of like flies through the tent and really cool, kind of sprawls on the ground, and Seth is there. Looking up at I don't know if it was the last chapter, but we find out that well, I think that's next. So that's when Syl starts transforming and stuff. So I'll save it for that.
Yeah.
We get a Shallan. She's basically just trying to figure out the Oath Gate, and like she's like, she's looking around. I don't think she figured out that quite yet, but it's basically her. Renarin's still like babbling, and it's kind of funny. I like how she's like, "Shut up, just please. Why do you have to be weird?" Was it like? Why would you be so weird? It's really funny. Then we get Dalinar.
Oh, the writing pattern mentions the writing on the wall as in Dawn Chant, or it might have been the other chick
Yeah, I
in
think it was the
Zara.
other. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Dalinar faces off with Seth. He kind of like does his last will and testament to Adolin, which is really sad. Then he summons a shard blade and he starts like fighting with them. And it's cool. Oh, it's basically like we get like whole like he's the Blackthorn. He's fighting like the best ever, and it's really really cool. Adolin, we get a little thing of Adolin. He's like getting out of his shard plate because it's all messed up. Really really simple.
He looks over and he's like, "Man, my dad is fighting beautifully."
Yeah, it's really funny. It's like, man, there's the Blackthorn. Then we get Dalinar. He's still fighting Seth. I like it because he gets the realization that he couldn't have beaten him back in the day when Gavilar died. he would have just died. So his like guilt of being drunk at the thing starts to alleviate because he he realizes he it was inevitable. He couldn't have stopped it. And then he's gets like punched and like his ribs are all broken and he's just getting all messed up and he's fixing to die. Then Royan attacks Seth with some of his bodyguards and stuff. Um and then like Royan, so Seth just kills a bunch of them and then like lashes Royan way up into the sky. It's really creepy. You hear him like ah, you hear him like cry out and he's like gone. And eventually he crashes down dead. It's messed
With
up.
a wet crunch.
Yep. Um, they're basically they're fighting Seth. It's real bad. Um, and then basically he does the same thing he did to Royan, but he shoots Dalinar up in the air. Dalinar is super dead. But wait, Kaladin kind of comes down like an angel into the battlefield. And kind of lash Dalinar back to the ground. So Dalinar is alive. And he's like, you know, he does has a baller line. He's like, but the winds belong to me and I'm gonna kill you, something like that. I don't know if they have the exact one.
So this is where Dalinar was floating back down and it was glowing with light. And that's
Yeah,
this is the
that's
moment.
not no Kaladin infuses him.
You sure?
He even says it, yeah.
Because Dalinar even mentions later on that he felt a little bit of stormlight sucking in.
Yeah, he says like he's been doing it on the battlefield. But now Kaladin says like, oh, I saw Dalinar flying up in the air, and then luckily I was able to like catch him and flash him back down. It's super loud.
Yeah. Yeah, this I think you mentioned it, but I was too focused on Dalinar floating in the sky. But yeah, Kaladin's epic line delivery here is like you sent him to the sky to die, assassin, but the sky and the winds are mine. I claim them as I now claim your life. Which is just fucking great.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
um yeah, this whole fight with Seth reminds me of the fight against Demandred in A Memory of Light. Just how you have like all of these like multiple badass fighters on the side of good, just stepping up one after another and basically failing.
yeah.
Um, spoiler a little bit, but I'm not naming names for the Wheel of Time. So you haven't gotten there, you're still pretty safe. Plus, if you haven't started reading the book, by the time you get to the 15th book, you'll have forgotten what I just said.
Yeah. Yeah. Spoiler alert, the bad guys get attacked. There's a fight in the final book of Wheel of Time.
Yeah, there's a last battle in the last book of the Wheel of Time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool. It's very frenetic. I like the pace of all of these chapters. It's very much, like it's classic Sanderlanche of just everything is pushing forward, everything's coming together, it's condensing. You really feel the Everstorm and the High Storm like approaching and like the imminent time danger that everybody's in. So these chapters
Yeah.
are all super cool.
Patterns of Light.
Yep.
Let's
86.
let's do this one.
All right. Another three POV. Dalinar, Kaladin, and Shallan. Um,
And it goes back and forth, back and forth, back.
yeah, it's crazy.
And
Basically, Kaladin's stuff is. We'll just do him because I'll just go back and forth. Kaladin is just fighting. They're in the skies, big sky battle. He's able to. This is when he finds out that one still can like transform into anything, and also it doesn't use the 10 heartbeats. You can be instantaneous, Because the 10 heartbeats was like a safety mechanism for the and since the sprint of the shard blades are dead, that's kind of what they default to, which is cool. Seth does a thing of like, you're not real, you can't be, and all that stuff.
Bridge 4 basically, or Kaladin also does like a spirit bomb, like call out to Dragon Ball Z. He's like, everybody, give me your spheres.
Yeah, it's fun. So he's like fighting. They're like in the storm, and it's super cool. Does he? Yeah. He ends up basically they're fighting okay, I'll get to that. They end up crashing down and the army's gone and stuff, and he ends up uh killing does he end up killing him this chapter? It's just
Killing
so
who?
Seth.
Mm,
Yeah. Yeah. Uh
um,
yeah. Basically the entire fight is this chapter.
yeah,
So
the whole fight is in
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I couldn't remember if it was the two chapters. Basically, they're fighting, like plateaus are being like sent in the air, and they're like doing all these crazy acrobatics. Sill's like turning into like a shard blade and then a spear, and then like a buckler to block stuff. It's really cool. Um, I'm really looking forward to more like fully empowered shard blade fights. But yeah, eventually, basically, he Kaladin is able to get the honor blade from Seth, and basically Seth dies. Spoiler alert: he doesn't die. I think it's probably the wrong choice, but anyway, super cool fight. Don't really need to go into like beat for beat because it's long and you should just read it because it's cool. That's Kaladin stuff. So then Shallan stuff. She's basically figuring out the Fabrial, the Oathgate. She figures out that the entire thing is a Fabrial, and it's basically a teleportation portal. And she's like figures it out, gets all the different spheres and like puts them in the lamps and all that cool stuff. And she shows her shard blade, she puts it in the thing. Her and Adolin like basically crank the oath gate and open it up, and it teleports them all away. And and Dalinar basically is like, oh, Kaladin's a radiant, Shallan's a radiant. Oh no. And
But Shallan has no idea that Kaladin is
yeah,
yet. Yeah, my biggest comment here was, holy shit balls.
yeah, it's super cool. And
Yeah,
like
it's
you get to see that the two storms clash together and all sorts of like it's basically hell on earth type craziness.
yeah. Shallan calls her shard blade her hidden soul. Um,
Yeah, we figure out what
Later on,
that
we do
is.
get confirmation that the thing behind the painting was indeed Pattern or her shard blade,
Hmm.
like I thought. It's pretty sure I said that.
Yeah.
So.
Um, makes sense. But yeah, and
Super fun chapter, but yeah, just action. So there's not just
yeah, the one big thing is just the Kaladin stuff, where like just how cool animated it would be with like him flying and like still turning all these different weapons and like it would just be so cool. I don't think this, especially reading like before this chapter, you could think that you could do this show live like this book live action. I think it's impossible to do it live action and do it well. But I
you
think it
need
would
a
make
hell of a budget.
yeah, even though I don't know if it would like look right, but like if you got like some of the top like animators from like Japan or something, or even like the core people or the Castlevania people, like you can make this super cool. Like it would be so good.
Yeah, I would watch it.
And I think it's kind of how it has to be. And that's how I also think Wheel of Time should have been. But alas.
Yeah. All right, chapter 87.
Right.
We're approaching the end here.
We are. We got Paladin, we get Open. Ooh. We get Moash, and we get Shallan. We get a lot of battle. So Kaladin, he's basically wondering what the hell is going on, where the army go, all that sort of stuff. We learn that there's now two storms, one, the high storm and the other one. So depending on how like powerful the Everstorm is, like a lot of people are gonna die really soon. And also we learn that it's gonna start changing the Parshendi, so things are very, very bad. Yeah, we learn that they're dead Spren. Like we get all that sort of stuff. We get confirmation, all that. We learn that the reason why he's holding the honor blade, and we learn about the honor blades, how it can basically you have like the powers of the different orders, but none of the checks and balances of the oaths. So they're very dangerous. They're really cool. I wonder who's going to be getting this Windrunner blade. Be cool if like Aelin got it. But I don't know, because we have to see. Basically then people from Bridge 4 were waiting for Kaladin, and they're at the Oath Gate, and he is gonna get zapped up to Irithiru.
His eyes have turned blue as well.
Yes, he is fully a Super Saiyan.
Yeah.
Which is fun.
Does not have blonde hair though.
Does not. I mean, that's his fourth oath. We got blonde hair.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. I mean, then if his fourth oath, he would get a monkey tail.
Yeah.
It would regrow.
It would regrow. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I'd watch that show. We just have DBZ and Stormlight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then we have Shallan. She's an Irithiru. She is kind of like watching all the craziness going on, like the people coming from the Oath Gates and stuff is getting all there's people, exploring this place is like massive. This place is massive. She learns that she's not quite a Radiant yet, and that the Light Weavers just have the one oath, and then they have to do truce, which is cool. And then she says that the location of Urithiru is near Kubala or Imul, so they're kind of like, I think it's in basically the middle of the of Roshar. And then they've been trying to warn everybody basically that the Everstorm is here. The Parshmen are gonna start, rising up. It's gonna be really bad. I like that. The only person that's responded in kind is Caravangian, who is weirdly enough the king of Yakaved. And we get a mention of the new leader of Azer or whatever that we met in Lift and all that stuff. So, but he's not gonna join them. He wants them to like come to him and parlay. We also learn that, pretty sure it's this one. That the Oath Gates are all sealed except for the one that's at from the Shattered Plains to Irithiru.
Oh, the Teravangian thing is in 2 chapters from now, but
Yeah.
that they were sorry. Yeah, they were sending the span reads. They can't reach the king, but they do hear news of the Kolonor and riots.
Yes.
Is what they're getting in this chapter.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, the king has disappeared. which we found out where the king is in a little bit because Lupin is Lupin's POV. Basically, Kaladin stashed him with his mother and little Hardasia in Sabarial's war camp, which is funny. Lupin is experimenting with trying to suck in Stormlight like he's done every day since he learned about Kaladin. And he finally does and starts to like grow his arm out, kind of like Deadpool when he lost his like little baby hand starts popping out. And so Lupin's gonna have 2 arms and he's gonna be unstoppable. He's gonna rule the world. It's gonna be probably better for the better.
Yeah.
Really funny with Elokar complaining about all the stuff and really good. And then we get some Moash. He's heading out of the war camps. This is when we kind of find out that Graves is working. We get confirmation Graves is working with the diagram, and it's like basically Moash is going to be working with Graves. So we got some fun stuff working on with that. And,
Moash also seems to feel bad that he tried to kill Kaladin.
that's good.
Yeah. Let's see. That was all of the thing.
That was all the POVs, yeah.
Yeah. So it's interesting that the Oath Gates, the more people it transports, the more Stormlight is required. And so I made a note that Stormlight is no longer just a currency for the Radiance abilities, but it's also like a currency for fast travel and everything. So it's with and we know Stormlight only recharges during a high storm. Wonder what it will do in an Everstorm. What happens in an Everstorm? So it seems to becoming more sparse, and that's even before we get more radiance. So I like that it's setting up that it's not like the magic is not an infinite resource.
Yeah, because they also have to work with the soulcasters as well. So
Yeah,
there's
so
a lot of competing Stormlight.
I think it does a good job like to prevent power creep.
Yeah, they should probably introduce paper money so they can just hoard all the gems.
Right. um let's see. Oh, Sill's I have a quote here from Sill, which I guess I thought was funny. It says, "You're the strange ones. Break a rock and it's still there. Break a spren and she's still there, sort of. Break a person and something leaves, something changes. What's left is just meat. You're weird." It's talking about like death. Um, yeah, so. Oh, I think I mentioned this a while back. Um, I think it was in book 1, in one of the visions, and about we were talking about light eyes and how light eyes became the rulers, like why they became the rulers. And there's a quote in here in this chapter. It says, "Perhaps the light eyes rule because of the memory buried deeply of the radiance. But just because they look a little like radiance doesn't mean they should have been able to oppress everyone." So it's fun. It's fun seeing that kind of popped up again, and kind of, it doesn't confirm it necessarily because it's still kind of a theory of a character in the world, but it's fun that a theory I had popped up in world as well.
Yeah, makes sense. All right, let's move on to chapter 88, The Man Who Owned the Winds. So some more, basically a lot of these are like more epilogue chapters before the even epilogue. We get Amaram, we get Shallan, and we get Seth. Who is not dead, surprising. Shallan, she's exploring Irathiru. She's returning to her rooms and she finds a folded paper with the ghost blood mark on it, and inside is Maraise, very scary. He basically is like, oh man, like you fooled even me. We should have known it was Shallan. And it's like, you know what? You still want to join, like, our four stands, you can join the Ghost Bloods. And Shallan doesn't seem to do it. They killed Yasna, all that stuff. But Mraize is also like, you don't know the full truth about what we do and stuff like that. Um, so one day we'll learn more about the Ghost Bloods, but not today. He also says that he has her brothers, and he's gonna send them here for basically free as kind of token of his goodwill. He says that his Basque is also impressed with her, which could be the masked lady, or it could be somebody else. We've heard that word with Risen.
I'm pretty sure it's Ayatel.
I'm pretty sure too, but
Because
Mike could be,
Babsk is more like mentor.
yeah. So it kind of maybe shines that he's from the same place Risen is. Which I forget where that is. But yeah, cool stuff. Yes. Says that he's owed for a broken soulcaster from his from her father, and she happens to be one, so it works out. He's basically like, hey, do you want to learn the truth about your family and all this other stuff? Then
He
he says,
mentions that Hell. Oh wait, yeah, he does mention that Halloran was seeking out the Skybreakers.
which we learn who they are in a little bit. Yeah, it's very, it's basically just questions that are probably going to be answered in the next book, but it's cool. Then
He either mentioned it, or in her little flashback here,
I think he
it was
mentions it.
mentioned.
I think he mentions it. I can't remember. Then
It still makes me believe that he was a search binder.
I could see it. He could maybe even be a Skybreaker. Or was a Skybreaker. So then we get the whole reveal of her mom and uh the dead guy and all that stuff, and that her mom tried to kill her. So
Oh,
hmm,
so all right. So Skybreakers, we know Nail is the herald and the of the Skybreakers, right? And we know he matches the description, and he is that same one that tried to kill Lift
yeah,
and killed M in that interlude.
yeah,
And we know Helleran told in one of the flashbacks, he told Shallan, said, "Hey, the day will come when I will return and kill father, but now is not the time. I don't have what I need yet." So we know the Skybreakers are like seekers of justice.
hmm,
So maybe he hadn't spoken the oaths yet because he's trying to seek out the Skybreakers to become one,
I
to
mean,
then go back and within justice do as a Skybreaker be able to dole out justice to his father and kill him.
yeah, it makes sense that he's a Surge Binder, because that would be how he would gotten his Shard Blade. Instead of like somebody else giving it to him, he gets it for his friend. So all that checks out. Just wasn't counting on Kaladin being another Surge Binder and killing him.
Right?
So yeah, we get the flashback. We learn that basically her mom tried to kill her. For some reason, maybe she was also part of the Skybreakers or something.
Now I got that she just tried to kill her because she thought she was an abomination.
Yeah, because she knew that she was a Surge Binder.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Skybreakers try to kill Surge Binders. Um, so I don't know. Her mother, just like Ven's mother, knew something about it. Seems like
Yeah, I
some
don't think the
others.
Skybreakers does necessarily try to kill the Surge Binders.
They're
They just
trying to keep them from sending back the Voidbringers, so they're murdering all the Surge Binders.
sure.
So I mean, but they're keeping themselves safe for some reason. Um, which is probably a flaw in their philosophy, but I guess we'll find that out. Yeah, that's how we learned that Pattern was the mother's soul in the box and all that stuff. So having confronted that, she will be I guess a Radiant now, a true Radiant. She tells Pattern that she hates him and stuff, and he's like, I knew, and you're luckily you're gonna kill me one day, so we're even kind of thing. We get some Amaram. We get another mention of the name Rastaris. And then we get some more information that Everstorm and stuff, and that he's there to break out the Herald from Dalinar's camp, because I guess Dalinar didn't think to bring him with him, which makes sense. He didn't think it was actually a Herald. We get that Gavilar, like their mission. So Gavilar is trying to bring back the Voidbringers, to bring back the Heralds, to bring back the church. That's kind of what I get from all this. Then we get the mask lady. She tries to shoot Amaram with the dart, but the Herald's like doing all Neo, catching it in the air. Really cool, but then he goes back to being kind of like an insane person. And then he basically takes him away. We're gonna see more of this other faction next book.
Yeah, so I guess the name of that faction is the Sons of Honor.
Yeah.
And so it's like a group trying to bring back the Voidbringers in order to bring back the Heralds. There was another comment I forgot to mention that the Envisagers were like correct about needing trauma to bring back the Knights Radiance, but they were just missing the spread. And it seems like the Sons of Honor and the Invisitors are almost the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I wonder if he got the name from the Stormfather, because he calls Kaladin and Dalinar Sons of Honor. Or Child of Honor. So we get Seth, he wakes up not dead. He's in the Frostlands, I'm pretty sure. And that's when you get Nail, and he's like the Herald, and Stormbreakers, and
Skybreakers.
Too many S's. Basically like, hey, you're gonna join us. Who is not better for justice than one that would just do it, like follow all the orders and all that stuff. Very bad. He's gonna kind of learn his own surges and stuff without the honor blade, and he gets a sword
that talks to him and wants to kill evil.
Yep, which is fun. Odd black sheath storm blade, shard blade. Yeah, I kind of wish Seth stayed dead. But whatever, it is what it is. Maybe,
Right.
hopefully it'll be interesting whatever he does. But I think it could have been better if he'd stayed dead.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's a redemption arc for Seth.
I don't think so. I mean, if we were able to give Darth Vader a redemption arc, of course that was before the prequels.
I mean, so Seth, I think, has a redemption arc just because he everything he was forced to do was done under a lie, and I think that's why Nail was kind of drawn to him and to bring him back. He's like, all right, you were wronged, and here's your chance to deal justice.
Yeah, I don't know.
So
we'll see. It's not my favorite thing. It would have been cool. I think his death fight scene was cool. I don't know how they're gonna top it whenever he does get killed by Kaladin again. Or whatever happens with him. But we'll see.
Maybe they
Uh,
just go fly off into the sky together.
Maybe. We all right. Final chapter, unless you got anything else about that.
No, that's it.
Like I said, a lot of this, like the Amaranth, Seth, Shalon stuff, all that is just set up for the next book, which is cool. But
Yeah.
it's all like, yeah, all right, stuff's still happening. So we got the 4,
The 4.
the drawing of the 3. Wait, that's a different book.
That was a good book, though.
Yeah, Dark Tower is weird.
It is.
Yes, this is not the Dark Tower, even though they are in a tower. That could be dark if there's no more spheres. So
It could get dark.
maybe Stephen King will show up. We get some Adolin and we get some Dalinar. Those are the last POVs of this book, and we're not counting the epilogue.
What'll happen is the next king of Alethkar will be King Stephen.
I could see it. Probably be better than Elokar. So
Yeah.
we get Dalinar. He has a dream that is just a dream, or maybe it's something different, but we shall see. It's basically him as a child with his brother, and it's cute. And I don't know. He thinks it's a dream. If Stormfather says it wasn't a vision, but the Stormfather says it's not a vision. So maybe he's having visions from other people. Maybe the night mother. We shall see. I think it's probably a hint of a setup for the next book, since next book is Dalinar's book. But it's cool. Now we get some Adolin. He's exploring the Irithyru. Basically, he's kind of overwhelmed. He's like, there's like gods and people and like with crazy powers. I can just do this. It's cool. So he's feeling a little inadequate right now. So he's mapping out the thing, the Irithyru. He ends up running into Sadius.
They have a jujitsu match.
They have a jujitsu match, and Aelin kills Sadius, stabs him through the eye. It's pretty baller. So goodbye, Sadius.
And then he throws Oathbringer out the window. I'm glad that I'm glad that Brandon Sanderson can't follow that up with, oh, he put it inside of a planter pot outside the window. Because at first he's like, he tosses it out the window. I'm like, just out the window of the tower. All right, somebody walking around exploring over there is gonna be like, ooh, Oathbringer. How did this get here?
How did this get here?
It's mine now.
Yeah, it's a little abrupt, but also Sadius was never really a like villain. He was more like an obstacle. So now that the plot has basically changed to like the end of the world, I think it's pretty good that they just kind of just killed him, and then we'll see how this affects Adolin in the next book and all that stuff. If people find out about it, if he like was on trial or whatever.
Nail finds out.
Ooh. Yeah. So
you broke the law.
No. The law is already broken. It's the apocalypse. Yeah. But yeah, that's that. Goodbye, Sadius. R.I.P. Well, not really, because he sucks.
Yeah.
So then we get Dalinar, and he basically climbs up to the roof of the tower, talks with the Stormfather, and is like, hey, I need you to be my spren so I can like lead the Knights Radiant. And Stormfather is not having it, but then he's like, all right, sure. He says this second oath. Yep, which is like, I will bind those or something. I forget the actual thing.
Yeah, I forgot it too. I didn't write it down.
I should have written it down.
Yeah, he's an oath,
He's a bondsmith.
a bondsmith. Yeah.
Pointedly, he will not have a shard blade. He has to give up the honor blade that he has. So there's two, well now three, because Oathbringer, three shard blades that need a home, and well I guess probably four because Renarn's going to give up his. Because we'll get that later. But there's two honor blades that are unaccounted for, which are going to be interesting to see who gets what.
Oh, by the way, I don't know if you mentioned it. So Seth and Nail are going to go to Shin and recover the cache of honor blades there.
Yeah.
So for some reason, all the honor blades are in Shin, which I
wonder
guess makes sense. They would have all, except for one of them, all been in one place because
yeah, maybe the prelude took place in Shin.
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, so he basically bonds the Stormfather, becomes the bondsmith. We don't know what his powers are, so that's gonna be fun seeing next book, what the bondsmiths do. I forget what the poem was about him, but I should look that up. He's able to draw in Stormlight, and then basically he's like, all right, we are 3 orders of the Knights Radiant, and then we hear from the shadows, no, there is another, and Renarn steps out, and he's a truth watcher, and it makes sense. That's why he froze in the battle with the 4 shard bearers, because he pulled out a shard blade and screamed at him. So he freaked out. And that's why he hasn't been wearing glasses, because the stormlight healed his eyes. So maybe I need to get some stormlight. It'd be nice.
Yeah.
We get more setup for the next book. Kaladin is gonna go to Hearthstone and get his parents, because the world's fixing to end. So
There's a plague in the Pure Lake.
yeah, there's a plague in the Pure Lake, whatever that means, which is gonna be fun.
And of course, more people are finding out about the riots in Kolinar.
Yep. So he wants Kaladin to after he saves his family, maybe make your way over to Kolinar and like hopefully unlock the Oath Gate there. So that's kind of the plan for Kaladin's arc next book. The king has arrived with a bunch of Hardasians, which is funny. Yep, that's kind of it's kind of the end of the book. I like how Dalinar and Shallan's like, it is our duty, Radiant. And she's like, yes, it is, Radiant. Like they have this cute conversation in the book. as the world burns because everybody's dead.
Yeah. Did you mention the elevators, the Fabrial elevators? That's fine.
Yeah, they have elevators. Navani freaks out about them, which is funny.
Yeah. And then hold on. All right. Somebody described this animal. I don't know what animal it is. An enormous mink-like creature with the mane of hair that burst out around and behind its head.
I was thinking like a lion, maybe. Just because of the mane. I don't know about
I was thinking like mink.
yeah.
What does a mink look like? Oh,
It's like a varmint.
A ferret or something.
Yeah.
Is it a dragon? It's got to be a dragon.
Maybe. I don't know.
Like a Eastern dragon, like a Chinese dragon.
Could be.
Yeah. I want to go back and reread that because I forget who mentioned that or why.
I think it was in one of the like murals.
Yeah. I could see it being like a Chinese dragon.
I could see that. Yeah, that like the only real world thing, just because of the mane, be a lion, which is way less cool than a dragon. So hopefully it's a dragon.
Yeah, but the fact that it's mink-like.
Yeah, it's just weird.
So
it's weird that they have minks.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, and we can go to
epilogue.
The epilogue. Yeah.
We made it.
We made it. End of the book. Book's done. This is a POV of Wit. Basically he's talking to himself and like doing like what is art and stuff, blah blah blah. And then basically Yasna pops out and she's like, the desolation is gonna happen. He's like, are you dead? Yeah, basically like he talks to Yasna. Yasna's alive. Hurrah! That's the one thing I did remember is that Yasna was alive. Um, yeah, Everstorm has arrived. It's all bad. Knights have been refounded. Basically, she's been, I guess, traveling through the cognitive realm, using her whatever that word you said was to teleport.
Oh, her Else caller? Else call?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, and like,
I didn't use it. Wit used it.
yeah, it's fine. I just didn't catch that when I read it.
Wit
Yeah,
also implied that he can't be harmed by shard blades.
yeah, because he's like a god or something.
Like, okay. Um, let's see. You'll this sounds so familiar from somewhere else. You'll find God in the same place you're going to find salvation from this mess inside the hearts of men. Um, yeah, it sounds familiar from somewhere else, but I can't place it. Not this series.
Yeah, it seems like she was like in the cognitive realm, like talking with this friend, I think, right?
Yeah, she was. She definitely was. She's been hiding out in Shadesmar, stirring up a bunch of shit with the Spren.
Yeah, I think she's been, well, this is my conjecture, probably trying to get more Spren to come to the real world to get more Knights Radiant.
Probably. It
That makes
that
the most
checks.
sense to me.
And so there's when Wit is telling a tale to insects and creatures while waiting on Yasna. Are these songlings like crickets or maybe frogs? Did you have
I
any
thought
thought
they
of
were
that?
like, I thought they were birds. Right? Is it, there aren't songlings birds
I don't know.
like in the real life?
I don't know what songlings. Um, that's song lines. That's not.
Yeah.
What are songlings?
Well, I found it on Coppermine. They are fist-sized creatures that live in Roshar. Shaped like a peaked disc with 4 arms.
That reach
Arms.
out from sides and scrape rhythms along the songling's top. Small crustaceans.
Of course, they're crustaceans. It's Roshar.
Yeah, it just reminds me of like crickets. They make noise while by
Well,
using
I
their
mean,
leg against their carapace.
yeah. So they're basically crab
Crab
crickets.
crickets.
Because why not?
Why not?
Hey, if you got a theme, you can just stick to it.
All right, so epigraphs. I have a few things to talk about with the epigraphs. I guess we're done with the epilogue.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Unless you got anything else.
Yeah. So oh yeah, this is the chapter 77 epigraph. That's where it reveals that the envisagers weren't entirely wrong. They just needed to bond a spren before the trauma happens. In 78, chapter 78, the honor blades are with the Shin, and I made a note saying Teravangian created Seth as a truthless with a question mark. Where is it? There it is. Let me see here. What did I say? Chapter 78.
Yeah.
But they were left behind. It is obvious from the nature of the bond, but where set off obvious realization like a apricity. They are with the Shen, we must find one. Can we make to use a truthless? Can we craft a weapon? So maybe the act of giving an honor blade to somebody makes them truthless.
Possibly. I mean, it seems like he was made truthless because he said that the Voidbringers were coming back, and they said, "No, you're lying." So they made him truthless and gave him the blade.
Right, right. Um, let's see here.
I don't know. It'd be nice to get more Shin POVs or whatever next book.
Yeah.
Really
Chapter
don't know nothing about him.
about the Shen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chapter 81 sets up that unmade are basically Spren.
Yeah. I'm guessing those are the Odium Spren.
Yeah. Chapter 82 speaks of Moloch again and that he's responsible for the death rattles. Confirms that again. And then chapter 89, it says there has to be an answer. What is the answer? Stop. The Parshindi, one of them. Yes, they are the missing piece. Push for the Alethi to destroy them outright. Before this one obtains their power, it will form a bridge. I guess that's talking about Eshonai. So like Eshonai was about to obtain like the Alethi Spren power.
Yeah, it's either that or it's about Gavilar is about to obtain the Russian.
Maybe.
Man, I don't know.
Yeah. It's interesting stuff.
Yeah, like those are cool. Except for I read most of them and I'm like, yeah, okay, it's interesting. Except for the ones that are just like 0 1 0 0 0 1 5 6 7. I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah, obviously one of them is code. And the other numbers,
Separate dates or whatever, but
yeah.
and I do like how they're all like organized. It's like found on the left bookcase and on shelf 3 or something. Scribbled on a corner. Like they're funny. But yeah, I think like most of them, these were the least I paid attention to with the books in the book because like you had like the Parchment songs which were cool, and you had like the orders which were fun, some of the other ones, and like Wit's the letter and things like that. This one was like, all right, it's kind of just stuff. But I don't know. Yeah, it's fun. This book is good.
Yeah. Looks good. So next episode we are discussing Edge Dancer. So if you have this copy, this small copy, the prologue is literally the interlude of Lift's interlude from Words of Radiance.
It's like that on my Kindle version too, so it might just be in everyone.
Yeah, if you have if you have the standalone and you're not reading the one that's in Arcanum Unbound, the prologue is literally the interlude from Words of Radiance. So you could just start with chapter 1.
All right. I'm looking forward to seeing more Lift.
Yeah.
It's also a story I have not read. I think I read a little bit of it and stopped. That was it.
I hope it's uplifting.
Ha ha ha.
Yeah. We shall see how awesome she is. Yeah. I'm sure we will glide through.
All right. On that note, the podcast is over.
All right. So if you made it this far, thank you. Click like, follow, share, leave a review if you like. It helps us out. Visit our sponsor, Mudcat Whiskers, at mudcatwhiskers.com. And we shall see you next week for Edge Dancer.
Bye.
Bye.